Start us off. Me. Haha. The intro doesn't change no matter what. Um,
No.
Welcome to a new short series by CastPod. I'm going back and forth between calling it Kevin's Road to WrestleMania or Kevin Explains WrestleMania or who knows what anymore. Um, so this is going to be me spending the next couple of weeks explaining to whichever member of the crew or members of the crew are in the Discord with me, and we're going to talk. Well, I'm going to talk mostly. They're going to question about pro wrestling, specifically the road to WrestleMania and everything involved with it. It's
Woo!
yeah, big part of the year for in the world of professional wrestling as a whole. And I have tickets to go see one of the nights of this year's WrestleMania in Philly. I think we're going to the Saturday night one. So we're pumped, and I figured let's have a fun time.
And you can see us there at the Caspod meet and greet at WrestleMania.
If this somehow got big enough that we could have a meet and greet on in WrestleMania, I would die the following day because I've achieved everything I've set out to in life.
Yeah, you want to see what it's like to get suplexed by me? Not very impressive. I will shatter my spine.
I mean, we could just ask Nick.
Whoa, no, I think that's a little propaganda right there. I don't think that's a thing that actually happened. Oh, really? Well, counterpoint.
Hey.
Oh, he's got you there.
Shout out to the
Yeah.
summer show. Coming this summer. All right. So,
Well, this was a Coke Zero, but okay.
oh, you had me hyped up. So,
Look, only fake sugar can capture the manic highs and lows my body needs to survive. And my brittle bones.
please see a doctor. Please, we're begging you.
No, you're mean about my mask.
Anyway, the road to WrestleMania officially starts this upcoming Saturday, which I think is going to be technically tomorrow when we release this.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
He lies, thinking he knows.
Yeah, like I'm the one that schedules it, so. But it starts with the Royal Rumble match, and that's kind of what we're going to focus on mostly today. So, outside of the name, do you guys actually know what the Royal Rumble is?
No.
I've heard the name, but I'm not sure how it relates to WrestleMania or the other sort of auxiliary big events of the year.
Yep. So there's 4 big pay-per-views, one per quarter, and they've all been going on for pretty much like 30 plus years now. There's in the like typically in January, there is the Royal Rumble. In now it's pretty consistently the first weekend of April, but occasionally it's been in March before WrestleMania. In August sometime is SummerSlam. And then way in November, typically it's either the Saturday/Sunday before or after Thanksgiving is Survivor Series. So these are like the 4 like long-standing pay-per-views that have so much hype build up around them that like typically big things happen at these shows. And the reason they call the Royal Rumble the start of the road to WrestleMania is because the winner of the Royal Rumble match is guaranteed a title shot at WrestleMania of a title of their choosing.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's pretty lit. And it used to be a guaranteed main event. Of course, things have happened over the years where it shifts and it gets put as the before main event, or I don't think it's ever been the opening match, but I don't know that for a fact. And now that WrestleMania is 2 nights long, it's typically one night has the winner of the men's match and one night has the winner of the women's match. That's kind of the trend they've gone with. So, what is the Royal Rumble? It is a usually 30-man over the top battle royale. So, a battle royale is there is no pinfalls, no submissions. It is everybody pretty much fighting at once. And the only way you can get eliminated is if both feet hit the floor. That's a key part of it. With that, so you start with two people. Number one and number two actually make their like legitimate entrances, and then formally, I believe it is listed as every 90 seconds. But if you really want to time it out, sometimes it's like 5 minutes. Sometimes it's like 1 minute, depending on who's up next and how much hype they have and how much they want them to show off. It informally varies and they hope that people are so focused on the match that they don't notice it too bad, but it happens.
Right. It's like what the story needs, it's gonna get in terms of time.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
So persons number 1 and 2, they make their entrance, the match officially starts, and then they go at it until person 3 enters. They all go at it until person 4 enters, and then once person number 1 gets thrown over and both feet hit the floor, he's out. Game over. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
By hit the floor, you mean outside of the ring?
Outside of the ring, yes.
Oh, okay.
So you know how typically a wrestling ring, a boxing ring is on an elevated platform to some degree. Mm-hmm. It's never flush with the floor they walk in on.
Yeah.
So that counts as a different terrain, I guess.
Gotcha.
Is the best way to describe it. And then the floor you walk out on with the mats and stuff outside of the ring is considered the ground that gets you out.
So there's none of that there's none of that going outside of the ring, pulling a chair out from underneath the ring and doing all that.
So the key is, there's two parts that I've emphasized. It is that it is over the top rope. So technically speaking, and it's happened plenty of times, you can crawl underneath the bottom rope. Going out in between the middle ropes, nobody really does that. But crawling out underneath the bottom rope is technically fair game. And gets used typically by the scummy bad guy. You're not talking the big bad. You're talking, I'm trying to think of a good show equivalent. It's
the ones who don't have any honor.
Yeah. From a One Piece point of view, the big bad, somebody like Blackbeard, wouldn't go under the bottom rope. But Foxy of the Foxy Pirates absolutely would.
Oh, Foxy totally would. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, there you go.
I know some
That's for you, Cal. Yeah, and then another part that I've been emphasizing is 2 feet have to hit the floor. So, if 1 foot hits the floor, which happened during one of Shawn Michaels' big wins, is people thought he was out, and he was the first person to kind of do a tap up with the 1 foot and get back over. Technically not eliminated, and that's how he wins. Over the years, it's gotten significantly more elaborate with people like Kofi Kingston, especially, where he's gone on his tag team partner's shoulders. He's made, I think it's roughly a 5 to 8 foot jump between the ring and the announcing desk. He's made that jump before. He's a very athletic individual, so it's he's insane, and he's typically regarded as the guy who's going to do something crazy to stay alive. But there's the whole loophole clause that they technically are exploiting with it. One year they were very uncreative, where his the tag team he was in, the New Day, they went out and would throw pancakes to the crowd, a legitimate thing.
Amazing.
It was pre-COVID, Carter, so you don't have to worry. And
I can't imagine if you're in the ring with all these sweaty fellas, you're overly concerned about the spread of germs.
Yeah.
I'll rub it up against each other and
eating pancakes off each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesus. Yeah. Come on.
I mean, come on.
They've gotten pretty weird over the years. But one time, Kofi's one foot hit the ground. Another foot was resting on a platter of pancakes. And they made enough of an argument that it doesn't count. I gotta watch some highlights with you guys, just for fun, because it's so silly how many things that they've gone. And like I said, the prize is a one-way trip to the title match of your choice for WrestleMania.
I like the sound of this one. I like the gimmick of it's like, just guys running, like just a wall of guys. And like,
oh, yeah.
I like that there's like a theatricality to like, oh, you can't get out of the box. What are you going to do? Oh, he's going to get thrown out. I can get behind that.
I can stream a couple episodes or a couple of the matches on Peacock to watch with you guys, like some of the either a highlight reel or one of the really interesting ones. So this match started in 1988, so it's older than us. And originally it was a 20-man match. First winner was a man by the name of Hacksaw Jim Duggan, he was like a big American lumberjack kind of thing. He walked around with a 2x4, sometimes the American
real
flag.
Man's man.
He very much gave off that vibe.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like an interest, like him being the test kind of shows, because it's like very interesting. With typically the winners are either one of the hottest guys at the moment, or somebody they want to make look like $1 million. And obviously it's scripted. It's Tom.
Just like this show.
Hey.
Oh, shoot. Tom's coming in from the top rope. Jesus. He's got a cat.
Hello. I come to you from the land of no Wi-Fi for 9 hours. My phone is going to die soon, but I thought I would come in to say that wrestling is big fakey. And
hold on.
My Wi-Fi is up and I listen to the Castbot episode, which all of you listeners should. I won't believe anything that Kevin says.
Hold on. I won't. Wrestling is not fake, but it's hella scripted. Because
my point stands. Goodbye.
Bye, Tom.
That's right, listeners. You have to subscribe right now to give Tom his Wi-Fi back. Everybody hit that subscribe button.
For holding Tom's Wi-Fi ransom is such a wild thing.
I've had a gun against his router for 4 hours, just waiting to pull the trigger. And if you don't give me $45 to pay off my gambling debts, I swear to God, I'll do it.
Please.
Computer, go bye-bye.
Anyway, typically, speaking of the scripted aspect of it, they pick somebody they want to make look good as the top guy for it. Whether it be like John Cena's won a couple of times, Randy Orton has won a couple of times. They're just like, we know he's going to put on a good match. Let's hype him up. And then, so that was 1988 when they had only 20 men. And then they went to 30, which lengthened the process, gave people more time in the ring. The year 2011, they did a one-off where they had 40 men, and it was clearly not a success.
That's a lot of men. Maybe too many. I was
gonna say, I feel like you lose track.
It was in the realm
of
too many, and people were not like super happy with the result because it was one of the bad guys that won.
I was gonna ask, do ratings suffer based on like who they choose to, or I guess not choose, but kind of choose to win that year?
It
Yeah, like does it
typically
affect
no.
going forward how excited people are?
Yes,
Okay.
so it doesn't really affect ratings. It does affect the excitement. For example, in 2015, the person that won was Roman Reigns, and nobody wanted him to win. To a point where his like non-blood related cousin, The Rock, came out,
What?
who all like and like kind of was like celebrating with him, and like everybody loves The Rock.
True.
The Rock has never been booed since he entered his like good guy era in the early 2000s. People were booing The Rock so much that The Rock looked
Jesus.
confused on what was happening.
We've endured this terrible film era from him, and I haven't even booed him.
The boulder is confused.
Oh,
This is all I'm picturing.
Nobody, like, nobody wanted to Roman Reigns to win that one, but it just didn't happen well. And I'm gonna see. Just give me 1 second. I can't remember who was the runner-up. I believe the runner-up was somebody that everybody wanted to win, but I don't. Ah, perfect. Yeah, it was Alexander Rusev, who was he was one of those people that was really building up a hype around him, and it was a genuine hype for him. Like, they were kind of given chicken shit, and they turned it into chicken salad. Like, they did good with it, and
Gotcha.
he had a very good performance. But Roman Reigns won, and nobody was happy. Uh, Before that, though, so they did the 40 man. Nobody was really happy. Felt too long, so they went back to the 30, except for one time. That in 2018, as one of their deals with the like Saudi entertainment industry, they held the greatest Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia with 50 men.
Whoa.
And they were just pulling people out of the woodwork, really, with that one. And it was held like a couple weeks after WrestleMania, so it really never held any like. The winner was Braun Strowman, and he won like a belt for it. There was no real like other prize.
Question: do they change the size of the arena proportionally to how many people are in it, or do they just go like same X by X space? Which is funny because that is XXX. I just realized the by symbol is an X. But is it like, it's still 20 by 20 feet? Have fun all squeezing in there.
I can't. Let me double check if they did that for the Greatest Royal Rumble, but every other Royal Rumble is in your standard 20 by 20 ring. I don't see anything about it easily. Well, I'll look into it and get back to you on that at some point. So we talked about the men's Royal Rumble starting in 1988, and do you guys want to take a guess in what year the women's Royal Rumble started?
2007. Was I close?
I'm seeing Callum wants to make a guess, or if he's away.
2025. It hasn't happened yet.
Callum's actually, I think, technically closer. 2018.
Oh.
What? Oh, come
years.
on!
Shout out to women.
Yeah. We did it. Great job, everybody.
So that first women's Royal Rumble
Good job, Ken.
Had a bunch of like previous women's talent that had left because the women's roster is never as deep as the men's roster. And they brought in so many like significant women through the years that they were just like over the years, it's like, all right, you've never competed, we want you in. You've never competed, we want you in. So a lot of them did get their moment, but it took 30 years of WrestleManias before somebody actually did something. Now, that being said, there has also been, like, it was the first women's Royal Rumble match, but that was not the first time a woman entered the Royal Rumble.
I was going to ask, yeah.
So, China, you might know her as also a former porn star, actually.
Oh, I thought you meant the country.
No.
Yeah, I was like, man, they were progressive on this issue? Good for them.
So China came in, and they were like, you need more women here.
Yeah, she wrestled in the 1999 and 2000 men's Royal Rumbles. Beth Phoenix, married to current AEW superstar Edge, who has won the Royal Rumble twice, and you might know him as Aries in Percy Jackson. She has competed.
I knew he was a wrestler.
And then two others, Karma, also known as Awesome Kong outside of the WWE, and Nia Jax, who kind of sucks. I'm not a fan of her.
I do feel like there will be a lot of asterisks in this series that are like, that person actually sucks.
Yeah, there's going to be a bunch. So, here's some pretty major stats about these matches. So, there are a handful, I think that there's exactly 8 2-time winners of the Royal Rumble. But there's only one 3-time winner. And that is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then...
This seems like an event he would thrive in.
Oh, yeah. It is shy of a bloodbath. There's just... So, from the wrestler's perspective, when you go in... Cody Rhodes, who is a current WWE wrestler, and last year's winner, actually, talked about one of his previous appearances earlier in his career. When you go in, you are given 10 to 30 seconds of pure spotlight to make yourself, I guess, seen is the best way to describe it. It doesn't always go good. Some people get eliminated very quickly. But you make... That's like... That quick period of time is for you, dedicated just for you. And then, until it's time for you to do another spot, you kind of just go off to the side and talk to somebody and just be like, hey, we're going to just hit each other in the face and do some like small, not super significant things until this time is ready. So it's very scripted but unscripted.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And out of...
I was going to say, man, it really bites if you're one of the first people to get dumped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the number 1 spot is considered like the worst spot to be in because you have to be there the entire time if you want to win. That being said, it is tied for 3rd for the most amount of winners with 3 winners.
Oh, okay.
So the 1 seed and the 24 seed each have 3 wins. The number 27 seed is in 2nd place with 4 wins. And then the number 30 seed is with 5 wins. And it only happened like this last year that it beat the 27 seed.
Well, I was going to say, like, obviously they kind of decide who's going to win before it starts.
Yes.
Do they do a lot of politics to decide the order? Is there some kind of ranking system before? Like, is it like boxing where there's like considered a pound for pound ranking, or like racing where they have like the rankings throughout the year until big competitions?
So kind of sort of. So on TV, the way it's decided is by a lottery, basically. They used to make a big deal about it with like you had bingo balls and people would be like, "Oh, like I got this one." People want to trade and stuff like that. But the pattern typically goes, you put in, persons number 1 and 2 are going to be, they might not be big names, but they are going to be your workhorses, where you want to like fully believe that these two people can make it all the way across, like for the match. And then it gets to like the number 3 is like, it could go either way. It's going to be somebody that either enters and has an insane dynamic with those two, or the polar opposite end of, it's going to be someone that these two can gang up on, dump over, and then go back to each other. And then you got your like middle of the pack guys, where they have some stars thrown throughout the middle there, but it's kind of your fodder, where it's going to be your lower ranking guys that could have a fun moment or two, but not to expect much. Legend returning out of nowhere, things like that. And then your final 10 is going to be, maybe not, they're not all going to be your big names, but they're going to be like some big names, like people that they want you to believe that are going to win huge returns, like not like a number 13 legend returning just for this match. It's going to be like, oh, this guy's back from his injury. Like, things are happening now. And then almost always the number 30 spot is some big name. They want to end the crowd. The last entrance of the crowd, typically you want to be just hype.
That makes sense.
And it is literally a game of endurance. So, the longest time ever was set last year with, his name is Gunther. And
Molly thinks that's the funniest thing.
Molly's cracking up. His name is Gunther.
It's a funny name.
Yeah. He lasted 1 hour and 11 minutes and 40 seconds performing. He didn't get taken out. He didn't like take any breathers. He was pretty much performing for it, which is an insane amount of time.
Yeah.
And he didn't win. He did not win that match. He started it, almost went bell to bell, and he got eliminated last.
Gunther, my boy.
The longest amount of time that it took for a winner is 1 hour and 2 minutes. So pretty much 10 minutes over. And that was Rey Mysterio in 2006. So prime Rey Mysterio. And then for the Women's Royal Rumble, it was 1 hour and 1 minute, which was done last year. That was actually both the first place and runner-up were the first two entrances of the Royal Rumble. So they lasted the entire bell to bell.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And the fact that they got an hour dedicated to it when, like, this point, like, so that was in 2023. In, like, 2013, they weren't even getting this match, and their matches were, like, 5 minutes long getting cut. So they've clearly, like, made leaps and bounds as a division. And then the longest amount of time spent in this match total, like over multiple years, multiple like times, was Chris Jericho, lead man of the band Fozzy, where he spent 4 hours, 59 minutes, and 33 seconds competing in this type of match. Of course it was over like a bunch of years. It was not over just like a one and done. But that's still a lot of time to be competing in one match type. And
yeah.
And the shortest time ever in one of these, 1.9 seconds.
What happened?
So it was a local goofball character named Santino Marella. He
already love him.
Carter, you would love him. I gotta send you some videos of him. You would just love everything about him.
I'm all for just the gimmickiest, stickiest little twerps you can possibly imagine.
He's your guy. He slid into the ring, stood upright, and then now current mayor of somewhere in Tennessee, Kane, eliminated him before he even fully was done standing up. It was literally 1.9 seconds.
So, like, how did he just, like, immediately chuck him out of the ring? Like, how did he do it?
Oh, yeah, no, he clotheslined the life out of him 30 seconds, like, before Santino was finished running in the ring, Kane was already running to eliminate him.
That's so funny.
Aww.
Hey, man, we've all been there.
Yeah. And he kept doing, he did a whole bit of, like, he wasn't ready. And all that stuff.
I would, I would go all in on that. Like, this is bullshit. Come on. Yeah. Full on dodgeball villain.
There it is. I literally just sent it to you guys. It's a 55-second video of his entire thing. And so, like, another important part is how many people you can eliminate. There is 2 people tied for both men's and women's most eliminations. And it's a little bit... I guess there's technically an asterisk for the men's because Braun Strowman eliminated 13 people in the Greatest Royal Rumble with 50 people. So that's kind of a... like, how good is this comparatively? And then in 2020... Brock Lesnar.
Sorry, I just saw that
I think we both just watched it at the same time.
He just immediately eats turn.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that poor guy.
After this recording, we're just going to watch a bunch of wrestling clips and stuff. But
oh God, that poor man. I also just love, like, you know, you're explaining it really well, but it is a hell of a thing to just see like this pile of people just like trying to claw themselves back up. Like, it's the freaking beaches of Normandy in spandex. All these poor bastards trying to put themselves together.
Yeah. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar did the same thing. He eliminated 13 people back to back to back in 2020.
Oh my God.
He was insane. But he's also Brock Lesnar, who's legitimately one of the toughest dudes on the planet, and if aliens invade and they ask for a challenger, I'm offering him on the spot.
I'm offering this guy. He's got the chutzpah. He's got the tricks.
Fun fact for you.
He's got the swag.
You look him up, current day, dude's yoked.
After that, he's in his villain arc. He's been training.
He's a revert. He's gonna become the One Punch Man. He's like, I can never let this happen again. I need to become so powerful. I shoot people into orbit with a palm.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then in Being You Goober, she's getting up to no good. And then for the women's match in 2020, both Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler eliminated 8 people each. That is one person over half the field that these 2 people eliminated together, which is crazy.
Oh yeah.
And out of all the years, there has been only 2 times that the ending was kind of a what happened situation. One was obviously scripted, and one was not. Oh. So in 1994...
Oh, God, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah. So in 1994, Bret the Hitman Hart and Lex Luger eliminated each other and technically tied. This was scripted. They worked it into kind of like a double-way match for that following WrestleMania. And then for one of the funniest moments ever, in 2005, it was John Cena and Batista going at it. They were the final 2. They accidentally knocked each other over, and their feet legitimately hit at the same exact frame.
Oh.
And they were playing it off kind of cool of a SmackDown versus Raw, where I believe Cena was on SmackDown, and their SmackDown refs were saying Cena won. Batista was on Raw. The Raw refs were saying Batista won. I might have the shows backwards, but the refs, because they didn't know what to do, they weren't expecting this, so they were both playing it off as their guy won and getting into like a little bit of a like argument about it, while Cena and Batista caught their breath because they had no idea what was going on and nobody knew what to do until Vince McMahon came out doing his stupid little march that he does.
The Vince McMahon from the top rope.
And he wishes he could have reached the top rope because he slid into the ring to kind of yell at them and give, like, say, restart the match. Except he kind of wobbled, and then he was just sitting there barking orders in the middle of the ring, or off to the side of the ring, because he tore both of his quads during his march out.
No.
Sometimes
recording, when
sometimes it becomes clear
reel,
God. Yeah, sometimes it becomes clear God is paying attention.
Yeah,
and he does have opinions on these matters.
Yeah, after the match, when I'm showing you guys the highlight reel, that is going to be one of the things I show you.
Dude, both quads.
Both quads. It's a hilarious moment.
My God.
Oh, pain.
So, all the WrestleMania matches since it's been started, that has been a major one on the card. They've pulled like the double main event and stuff like that if they want to make another match seem bigger. Vince McMahon has also won a year. He won in 1999. So, before I get into more of what happens after the Royal Rumble and stuff, do you guys have any notes or questions about the Royal Rumble as its own thing?
Are there, like, timeouts? Because I know, like, on television they have commercials, right? Like,
so
is it one of those picture-in-picture things where they'll still show what's happening, but the commentators won't say nothing?
So, since it is... The Royal Rumble was a pay-per-view, now dubbed Premium Live Event. There is no commercials.
I forgot about the pay-per-view on
that. There have been technically, like, timeout moments where sometimes there'll be people, like, off to the side just holding onto the bottom rope, catching their breath. There was one year where it was going to be Roman Reigns was going in as your face champion, your good guy champion, and Triple H was the bad guy, like the bad guy, business guy behind the scenes. And Triple H made Roman Reigns enter in at number 1, and his title was on the line for that entire match too. So whoever won the Royal Rumble won that thing. And then Reigns got hurt, but was carried out underneath the bottom rope and then made his way back in towards the end, so he didn't have to go like bell to bell technically. And to humble him, Triple H came in at number 30 and won.
Huh. So I guess another question I have is, in terms of, like, the ranking system, like, in terms of, like, obviously they have 50 people on their roster. There's
a decent
so
amount.
many. My understanding of wrestling is there's thousands upon thousands of people who do this, not even just at the WWE level, but like local sort of divisions and leagues and whatnots.
Yes.
I guess my question is, are there 50 people who everyone sincerely gives a poop about? Like, are there times when someone who clearly knows a lot about this, they're like, and this guy, and you're like, who the hell is that again? Like, what is their lore? What have they done?
So, there's very rarely times when somebody enters that match where I don't know who they are, especially with how up to date I stay. However, there are times where it's just like there's like 3-4 people left, and it's just like, and this guy, and I'm just like, And I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, this person should still be entering. I want this person to be in still, and this person went still. And I'm like, that's 3 people I want. But after this guy, there's 2 people. I'm like, what are they doing? Why is it this guy? And it's kind of, it's good and bad because sometimes they do it very well, and it's just like they make somebody look like $1,000,000, and then other times there's just like last second injuries and stuff that people can't compete with. So it's just like, shucks. That being said, surprise returns or surprise debuts that happened over the years make things a whole lot more insane. Like a bunch of years ago, AJ Styles, who before the 2016 Royal Rumble, he was a big guy in almost every other wrestling promotion around the world at some point or another. He was in Japan, he was in TNA, he was technically in WCW, he was all over. And he never stepped foot into the WWE at all. And they did a pretty good job at keeping him a secret, and he came in at number 3 that year. And it was just like it was kind of like one of those moments where everyone just pauses and it's just like, huh? And then it's just like, oh, snap. Like, this is actually happening. And they've done the same with legends. And some legends you kind of expect it, like, over the years. And it's just like, all right, kind of cool. Like, not really crazy, but kind of cool. And then other times it's just like, oh, this guy's all of a sudden back? Awesome.
Right.
That being said, there is one soon-to-be free agent. I believe technically their contract runs up at the end of this month. But I'm hopeful that something happens where, because they could still possibly make the Royal Rumble match. His last name is Okada, and I'm not going to butcher his first name. And he is one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet. He's been all around, like, he's a big Japan guy because he's Japanese. But he's
Japan guy.
Yeah, he's one of the best ever. He makes everything look like everyone else look like $1,000,000. He does like cool stuff himself without going too over the top. And his contract is about to run up. And AEW and the WWE are offering him huge amounts of money to come wrestle for them. It's not confirmed on where he's going to go yet, but if somebody can make a surprise entrance during the Royal Rumble, I hope it's him.
Okay.
And then this is also going to be interesting of a match because over the years, and more so recent years than previous years, Triple H has been put more and more in charge. And now, with their new parent company, the TKO, the same people that own UFC, Vince McMahon, besides his legal troubles and all of his other current allegations, he is no longer in charge of creative. He has no opinion over it. Triple H does.
Right.
And Triple H has put on insane matchups.
That was exactly what I was going to ask.
He's done a lot of long-term storytelling and stuff, like, already from his tenure, that he does. He makes things make sense because he was a long-term wrestler himself. And when the first couple shows after he started doing, like, after he came back or after he's put fully in charge, he was doing some slow returns of people and different types of returns and stuff. And somebody was attacking, one of the returns was somebody attacking from the crowd, and it was they played it off as somebody, a fan jumped the fence. They didn't acknowledge the person. They cut away from it pretty fast. They left it long enough to be oh, that's Dexter Lumis. But they cut away from it and didn't really acknowledge it too much and had legit security go after him instead of the fake security to play it off as this isn't supposed to happen before his inevitable his actual return. And they built that up for weeks without actually acknowledging it more than anything else. And so, like, Triple H is good at that kind of stuff. And I'm very excited to see what happens as we get into talking about what the Road to WrestleMania entails.
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, I have a couple, actually.
Okay.
Number one being, before I get into my real question, would you say that the Royal Rumble is like the biggest wrestling event of the year, or just one of them?
It is one of them. I'm of personal belief that it is number 2 to WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, yeah.
At least, definitely in the WWE, kind of out there for wrestling around the world. The G1 tournament in Japan is also huge. So that's going to be like a personal, like, preference kind of thing, in my opinion. But I think it's one of the biggest ones.
Okay. And then leading into that, kind of on top of what Carter was asking earlier about the people who are in the Royal Rumble that are kind of nobodies. Is it like to get into the Royal Rumble, to like be picked to be one of the guys or the gals? Now, shout out to women. How do you kind of get to that point? Like, is it kind of like more a professional sports kind of thing where if you're in the minor leagues, you do really well, then they kind of notice you, they bring you up in the big leagues? Or is it more like an acting kind of position where it's like they just happen to do casting for like the event and, hey, this guy put on a pretty good show, let's see if he can do it for like the big show kind of thing?
So, great question, because they do typically have one to three I'm saying call-ups in quotes from NXT, which is considered the, like, it's not really a minor league compared to like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, but it's considered like a step below.
Okay.
So they do have people that come out for that, and it's typically their top guys for that. They want them. It's like, we're going to represent our biggest guys. And then they kind of just go through the roster and be like, all right. Something they usually do is if you are in another type of match, you're not always guaranteed a spot in the Royal Rumble. Sometimes you're in both, but not always. And it's like, all right, we're filling up. For example, this year, during the Royal Rumble, there is a fatal four-way for one of the titles. Roman Reigns is the champion, and he is going up against AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and LA Knight. So, technically speaking, they're not guaranteed. All of them aren't guaranteed to be in the Royal Rumble match, compared to some other people that have like formally declared, like Cody Rhodes. But they are not considered ineligible. And then, so like after deciding who they want in and stuff like that, like the big names, I feel like is when they go into like all right, who do we know that can take these hits? Who do we know that's going to make them look good? Those kinds of questions.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So after the Royal Rumble, there is winners declared. It's typically signed off with a point to the WrestleMania sign of like, yeah, this is me. One of the superstitions that the fans talk about is if you preemptively point to the WrestleMania sign without winning the Royal Rumble, you will not win the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
That's like a vague superstition thing.
Has anyone defied fate yet?
Not that I can recall. And then over the course of like, while establishing WrestleMania matches, two people will be in the ring and they'll be like in each other's faces. And then when they're talking about like, it's like, I'll beat you the next time we meet. And then it's like, oh yeah. And then you point to the sign to like make it like this could be a WrestleMania challenge.
To remind the audience of what could happen next.
Which also is a huge sign that is in every arena for the following weeks leading up to WrestleMania.
Right. Well, that's a question. How many events are between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania?
So the Royal Rumble this year is the 27th. First night of WrestleMania is April 6th. Saturday the 6th. So that is about 11 weeks, I believe, or 10 weeks. There's only one major event, one premium live event, the Elimination Chamber, which we'll talk about later in the series. But besides that, there is a weekly episode of SmackDown, a weekly episode of Raw, and a weekly episode of NXT. And then technically main event, which is like that's, for lack of a better words, the throwaway talent show, where it's just like, we don't know what to do with you. Go to main event. So there is storylines building through this entire time. And these are going to be Triple H exclusive storylines from his creative mind. So it's going to be interesting because Vince McMahon would throw out some weird angles over the years and did some very weird stuff. There was a time where a little person was considered, who was running around as a leprechaun, was considered to be his illegitimate son.
I actually know that one.
That happened. And some other bizarre things like that. But the storytelling that Triple H has done so far is pretty damn great. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens from this point on. And another kind of scheme into that, like, plan is for their parent company, TKO. They have a brand new board member of their entire organization. That person's The Rock.
Really?
Yes.
I wasn't sure how involved he still was with anything.
So previously, when Vince McMahon brought back the XFL, did one season. It was during the COVID year, so kind of failed. And then The Rock bought it from him. And
I knew that.
Just recently, within the last week, he was announced as one of their new board members of the parent company, not the WWE, the parent company of the WWE. And he has full ownership of the Rock trademark now, full sole ownership. So he has the ability to, if he wants to go by just The Rock and not Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Dwayne Johnson, he can. So that combined with the fact that their first event of the year they call Day 1, and it conveniently was on January 1st this year of Monday Night Raw. They brought him out. The Rock came out before all this was announced, and he was like, so Roman Reigns, who's been a very long-standing champion for over 1,000 days, is his gimmick, because he's part of the Samoan dynasty, so a huge Samoan family, where 90% of them are professional wrestlers at some capacity. And since he's the winning champion of it currently, he refers to himself as the head of the table. And The Rock, when he showed up on Day 1, after kind of bullying this guy that they brought out to just basically be fodder, and he's like, and he's just like, what, The Rock is hungry. Should The Rock eat dinner in a booth? Should he sit at a bar? And then he's clearly looking at the crowd, and he's like, or the head of the table, clearly taking a subtle dig. So things might happen with The Rock too.
That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. You know what? I'll be nice and just say it's really cool and not make a comment about his recent films.
Yeah, no.
Listen, everybody loved The Tooth Fairy, okay?
No, he said recent films.
That was 2 decades ago.
Yeah, no.
Guy.
What year is it?
Yeah.
What?
The Rock in a wrestling capacity is a completely different entity than The Rock at an acting capacity. It just he's declared the most electrifying person in all of sports entertainment, and the electricity just gets to him when he's in the ring, and he he looks like $1,000,000. Everyone he talks to looks like $1,000,000. He does great.
Right.
So, with the road to WrestleMania starting out, and this is like after the Royal Rumble, the storylines right now are kind of at a fluttering spot, I want to say, with some of the more established people. The rumor mills are starting to fill up with like, oh, it's possibly going to be this person and this person. It might be these two guys at WrestleMania. So those rumor mills are fluttering about. After the Royal Rumble is when everything's going to be more concrete. And with Triple H being in charge, I'm very excited to see how this goes because he was a professional wrestler. He knows what people like, and he's done very good storytelling, in my opinion, recently. Where, like the last honestly, the last decade of Vince McMahon being solely in charge, there was times where it was just like he seemed to just throw people around and just be like, all right, you don't look like John Cena, you don't look like Hulk Hogan, you're not a giant, hey, we're going to give you some crap to work with, and you can either make it work or we'll fire you. And there's been some pretty crappy gimmicks and stuff over the years that he's given people, and now it's like, but some people turned it into gold. But Triple H, every wrestle, like every Raw, every SmackDown, nothing seems like a waste. Everything seems to have a purpose, and one of the like wrestling like results sites and stuff, they say it's like, hey, was this match a winner or was this match a loser? And the last full year of Vince McMahon alone there were so many matches that were just loser matches after loser matches, and now it's almost exclusively win matches or a win/lose. Like they do good, but they kind of shit on the story a little bit, or vice versa. Like good for story, but bad look for this guy.
Right.
And then so there's like the start of all that, which is exciting because they have some pretty big name guys that will definitely be at WrestleMania, but you don't know where they're going to be yet, which is kind of cool.
Huh.
Because it's like there's also the factor of like there's rivalries, but it's not just like I'm exclusively feuding with Callum. It's like, I'm feuding with Callum, but also I have beef with Carter for this, and I have beef with Danny for this, and stuff like that. So it's like, which direction could things go in? Like, whoever wins this Royal Rumble, they can challenge either major champion, which is Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, if they're still holding the title at WrestleMania. And it's just like, they can make that happen. But they don't have to. And it's just like most people that are considered possible winners have cases for both of them. So it's kind of...
That's pretty cool.
It's not super clear cut this year, which is enjoyable in my opinion. And then another thing that they do during this time is they start announcing people for the Hall of Fame. I'll go into the more depth of it, but it's like just acknowledging some people over the years that really deserve it.
Yeah.
So, before we end the episode and I show you guys silly wrestling clips over Discord, do you have any final questions about what happens now? Or the Royal Rumble or anything like that?
Carter, you got anything?
No, I don't think so. I think it helps to, for the first time, have a context for why so many men are in the arena at one time.
Yeah.
Oh, that definitely helps.
I have two questions.
Hit me.
One, what can we expect to hear about on the next episode?
So next time we're going to be talking about what happened at this Royal Rumble and what it could mean going out for the next few months.
Okay.
I'll explain some of the matches to you guys, and kind of just be like, hey, this is what's happening, and also give like an up to date of what has happened on the TV shows between now and then.
Okay. So make sure to like and subscribe and listen to the next episode for that. And then my second question is, because you were speaking about rumors before, is Mr. America Hulk Hogan?
All right. So here's the thing. I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of like the same philosophy as those crazy fans in like conspiracy series think that Sniper King is Usopp.
Oh, no way.
I don't believe it. So it's like, sure, Mr. America and Hulk Hogan have the same mustache. But how many people out there have that mustache? It could be the freaking Paul Sr. from American Choppers. We don't know.
Good point. Well, I guess we'll find out in a future episode.
I don't know if we will.
No, probably not.
If he doesn't show up, how will we find out?
Unsolved mysteries.
All right, so till next time, when we're talking about what happened at the Royal Rumble, like and subscribe to find out. See ya.
Bye.
Oh.